Hello, good morning friends. This is Shivakumar here, and in this video I like to discuss about SAP S4HANA migration to the public cloud. And as per that, as a first step, actually we are going to discuss about the different phases. Actually, in case of SAP S4HANA migration to public cloud. So, as a part of SAP Activate Methodology phases, we have discover, prepare, explore, realize, deploys, and simply called the SAP Activate Methodology phases. And in case of new implementation, we need to go about these phases, right? So, in the first discover phase, we are going to configuring the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Trial System. Okay, so the SAP Activate methodology also include a model company with pre-configured customizing that is based on SAP best practices. The company can help you to get started and is ideal for testing and determining the appropriate migration strategy. Okay. So in this videos, actually SAP Activate as a framework for implementing SAP S/4HANA provides an overview of SAP S/4HANA reference system, the so-called model company, which is a trial system in the cloud. And this video introduces this model company and its application options, which go far beyond the scope of a common trial systems. The pre-configured system is already customized, containing, for example, predefined company codes, organization structures, and sample data. The system is based on SAP Activate and SAP best practices and helps you to identify your requirements for the migration to SAP S/4HANA and your prerequisites. The model company in SAP S/4HANA replaces the obsolete world templating the SAP business suite and is thus a comprehensive enhancement for SAP S/4HANA, particularly because SAP best practices is now an integral part of SAP S/4HANA. So the trial system in SAP Cloud Appliance Library, right? So the trial system. Both SAP customer and SAP partners can access the trial system. SAP S/4HANA's reference solution in the cloud. The trial system contains model company as well as corresponding sample data and scenarios. So to access a trial system, you need to configure SAP S/4HANA trial system via the following link www.sap.com/S4HANA-trial. So SAP Cloud Appliance Library is simply called a CAL, SAP CAL. So the trial system is provided in the SAP Cloud Application Appliance Library, SAP Call. SAP Call delivers a pre-configured software systems in a cloud-based solution on demand. Okay, you can start and use these systems in your own SAP Call cloud space. And then actually we are discussing about infrastructure as a service, IaaS concept, right? These cloud computing options allow you to lease computing infrastructures instead of purchasing your own hardware. The underlying scalable concept follows the infrastructure as a service IaaS model. So SAP Cal provides an online platform for managing your SAP systems, which can be hosted by any IaaS cloud provider, for example, Amazon or Microsoft. So the Amazon and Microsoft can be considered under the IaaS cloud provider solutions, okay, hosted solutions. And available versions, there are two options are available for you to explore the world of SAP S/4HANA using trial systems. So SAP S/4HANA Cloud Trial. This variant enabled to create a user with a 14-day test access to pre-configure SAP S/4HANA Cloud demo systems. All users share one system, but SAP call manages access to the system. This public cloud variant or SaaS, that is software as a service in the cloud, behaves like a real SAP S/4HANA cloud system. So then discuss this type of SAP S/4HANA system in more detail, right? The system is shared by all users and is ready to use. You can execute demo scenarios using wizards You can use a system to get familiar with SAP S4HANA functions and SAP Fiori user interfaces. However, you cannot change the configuration of this system and cannot run through migration scenarios because administrative functions are restricted. One advantage of this variant is that it is completely free because no hosting cost or incurred. And then SAP S4HANA trial, right? For this variant, you can use 30 days test license to create a complete SAP S4HANA on-premise system in the private cloud, which is hosted by the cloud provider. More appropriately, you instantiate rather than create the system, which is a copy of the model company that we will discuss throughout this chapter or of this entire series of video. The test license is free, but you will have to pay hosting fees for the cloud provider you choose. Because this trial system is your system, you can view and change all the functions, including customizing. You can also access the system via SAP Guide. The system is based on SAP S4HANA fully activated appliances for SAP S4HANA 1610 on-premise version. At the time of writing, I mean, at the time of writing this, the presentation, right? So, like SAP S4HANA, the underlying trial system is continuously enhanced and updated to map additional functions. Then setting up your access to the trial system, right? As earlier said, I mean recommend activating the corresponding trial system to better understand our explanations by running through the scenarios in the model company in the SAP S4HANA systems. Okay, the SAP S4HANA fully activated appliances allows you to run an entire SAP S4HANA on-premise landscape as a trial system either in Amazon Web Service AWS or in Microsoft Azure. You will require an account for the cloud provider. Okay, so Amazon Web Service and Microsoft Azure can be used in the SAP S4HANA fully activated appliance systems. Okay, so I mean in the cloud. So benefits of fully activated versions. The benefit of using SAP CAL, that is nothing but Cloud Appliance Library, or its scalability and availability. You can define various sizes for the virtual systems, therefore different memory and disk sizes, and thus easily scale the landscape. Furthermore, you can stop, start, and use your system as required. Actual cost involves hourly fees for the activated systems only in addition to in addition to the low basic cost for each instances, right? So if needed, you can deactivate the system and then reactivate it later on. While the system is deployed within the few hours with the cloud approach, you can also implement these appliances on premise in your data center within one or two delays. In addition to the trial system, this method also allows you to deploy a sandbox system for a proof of concept, for example, or as a development system in your future SAP S4HANA landscape, right? So we have to discuss these options in more detail. SAP S4HANA fully activated appliances, right? So appliance called a software appliance is a compressed system similar to the large zip file. SAP S4HANA 1610 fully activated appliance is about 100 GB in size, which you can easily extract to a common system. The software appliance contains all settings and properties that were enabled when the original system was set up. The software appliance behaves like a system copy of SAP S4HANA system, including ABAP code, SAP HANA database, SAP best practices, and technical SAP Fiori configurations. The SAP HANA database is handled with SAP S4HANA software, including the front-end server for SAP Fiori, that is, and the SAP gateway. In addition, the appliances contain demo scenarios and sample data for the model company. You can therefore easily use it for the sandbox systems, for proof of concept, and for fit to gap or fit to understand analysis provided by the SAP Activate instructions. Okay, basis for production systems. So the customers and SAP partners can use the pre-configured appliances as a starting point. We can also continue using appliances for 30 days trial system or trial period if you purchase license for SAP S4 and SAP S4HANA databases. Okay, so SAP S4HANA fully appliance concept includes software which includes SAP S4HANA 1610 and the additional components and configurations, so that is best practices and technical settings and walkthroughs, that is sample data and demo scenarios which comprise of SAP S4HANA fully activated appliance. We have two options for using SAP S4HANA fully activated appliance. So how to use the appliances? Okay, first one is SAP Cloud Appliance Library. SAP CAL allows you to use the appliances in the hosted cloud solution IaaS. Creating your SAP S4HANA fully activated appliances instances to logging onto the system for the first time should only take 1 or 2 hours. Hosting will cost only a few dollars per hour when the system is active. Some cloud providers gives you a starting credit when creating your account. These options include a 30-day test license for the SAP S4HANA system and the SAP CAL, right? So, I mean the Cloud Appliance Library, a 30 days trial, so trial license, right? After that period, you have to purchase a license for SAP for HANA on-premise and SAP CAL, that is via the subscription. The SAP call contains a detailed description of how to set up a solution as well as blogs and forums in which we can get a support. You will also get information on using the appliances beyond the 30 days trial period. Okay, and on-premise installation. You can also install SAP S/4HANA fully activated appliances on your own hardware easily. You will only need hardware that is supported by the appliance and Linux operating systems. So all other components are installed with the appliances. So the Linux version must meet SAP's requirements for a successful installation of a system copy. And I'm giving thanks to the concept of appliances. We will able to utilize our pre-configured system within 1 or 2 days. You can either download the installation files from the internet or order a Blu-ray disc with these files. The appliance is free even if you order the disc. However, you will need the corresponding SAP full or partial licenses. Okay, and further more information on the appliances in SAP call and on-premise, right? We can find the detailed information including a quick guide to using SAP call at the following or the below link. So https colon forward slash double forward slash www.sap.com slash cmp slash oth slash crm hyphen s4 hana slash s4 hana slash on slash premise.html. The following SAP notes contain further information on system requirements for the on-premise installation and on the other process. So for SAP partners, SAP note 2041140, and for customers, SAP note is the 2202234. Okay. So deployment scenarios. We have following deployment scenarios are available for SAP S/4HANA fully activated appliances. So Sandbox system. Sandbox system may require more time for testing than the 30 days trial period. You might also want to keep the result of testing in the Sandbox system, which makes a separate license for the product necessary. With a reference system, you can considerably reduce the initial effort required for setting up the system and is thus the ideal setting point for the sandbox system, even if you use it beyond the 30 days trial period. Okay, you can start the appliance and then customize the solution within your own master data, organization structures, etc., according to the best SAP best practices. For this purpose, a hosting subscription of a cloud provided in the SAP CAL is the best option. Cloud appliance library, right? So you don't have to deploy any hardware And then second, after Sandbox, then second deployment scenario is proof of concept. So the appliance is an ideal proof of contact POC system because it is pre-configured and can be implemented easily. Because you will be using a specific copy of SAP S/4HANA system. You can customize the system as required and extend the solution scope to accelerate your POC. And third part is deployment system. From the technical perspective, you can also run the appliances as a development system in the production landscape later on. However, SAP does not recommend the system for SAP S/4HANA landscape for the below reasons. Okay, all languages are installed and enabled in the system. This does not apply to your production system. Second point, depending on your license, additional license cost might be incurred. For example, for SAP Integrated Business Planning and SAP Master Data Governance (MDG), which are the part of the appliance. Okay. And third point, in contrast to SAP recommendation for production landscape, the SAP Gateway is installed at the front-end server for SAP Fiori in the same system. SAP recommends separating the front-end server from the back-end to make it easier to independently maintain your system and implement patches. So these are the below reasons from the technical perspective. You can also run the appliance as a development system in the production landscape later on. However, SAP does not recommend the system for SAP is from a landscape, and three reasons have given for the deployment system. So next we are going to talk about the cost overview. For an overview of costs that will be incurred and the license that may be required to use SAP S/4HANA fully activated appliances, follow the link SAP S/4HANA 1610 appliance license and cost drivers at the blog, that is https://blogs.sap.com/ question mark p equal to 406099. Okay. Appliance as a first step to SAP S/4HANA. We can use a trial system and the appliance to get started with SAP S/4HANA. If you then decide to migrate to SAP S/4HANA, we can transfer the settings we made in the trial system to the production landscape. So from trial system to production landscape, you can change that. And then solution scope of the model system. The SAP S/4HANA 1610 fully activated appliance consists of four virtual machines bundled in one instance. The appliance components, the following components. So those components are SAP S/4HANA 1610 on-premise ABAP backend including SAP HANA database and SAP Gateway as a front-end server for SAP Fiori. Okay, that is one point. And then SAP NetWeaver application server Java with Adobe Document Services ADS. And third one, SAP best practices depending on the client. All SAP best practices that are available in the SAP S/4HANA 1610 are already enabled. SAP Fiori with its extensively interfaces and additional available fields, right? And SAP screen personas and extended warehouse management SAP EWM and content for various scenarios in the interactive demos. The following components are optional and are only available in the SAP Cal part, not in the premise on the on-premise installation of SAP S/4HANA fully activated appliances. So the call means already to cloud appliance library, right? So these are not available in the on-premise system. So what are they? So SAP Business Objects BI platform with predefined reports, Microsoft Remote Desktop for easy access to front-end tools and SAP Fiori, and all 14 locations in the reference client: Germany, USA, Australia, Belgium, Canada, China, Switzerland, France, Great Britain, Hungary, Japan, Netherlands, Philippines, and Singapore. Okay, all 14 locations in the reference clients. So this covers the following components are optional and only available in the SAP Cloud application library, not in the on-premise installation of SAP S/4HANA fully activated appliances. Okay. So the fully SAP S4HANA fully activated appliance components include SAP S4HANA ABAP server, that is S4 core 1610, SAP gateway, that is Fury, SAP network NetWeaver 7.51 best practice, SAP best practices HANA 1.1 1.0, right? And then SAP NetWeaver AS Java or ADS includes Java server. And then we have Adobe Document Services, SAP NetWeaver AS Java 7.150, and SAP Sybase ASE 16.0. And remote desktop option, Windows remote desktop. So Mozilla Firefox, SAP Guy 7.40, ABAP development tools, SAP HANA Studio, SAP Business Objects, SAP Lemuria 3.2.1, SAP Business Objects, Design Studios 16.3.2. So this covers under Microsoft Windows Server. And final one, SAP BI platform optional, that is SAP SBOP BOE. Okay. So this includes SAP Business Objects, BI platform 4.2, Lemuria Server BOE, Design Studio Server DOE, and BI best practice content. So this includes Microsoft Windows Server. Okay. And SAP S4HANA fully activated appliance contains 6 pre-configured clients with SAP with the different flavors of SAP best practices. So the pre-configured clients are client 000, client 100, client 200, client 300, and then um, we have client 400 and 500. Okay, so these are the different clients. So client 00, the master data master client is the default client of all SAP S4HANA system and is delivered by the appliance without any changes. You can use client 000 as a starting point for your activities. If you want to implement SAP S4HANA without SAP best practices, and it serves as a reference client, um, for comparison of the pre-delivered customizing with the empty product. Okay. And client 100 for is a trial system client and includes SAP best practices for SAP S4 HANA already activated, as well as sample data, process, and scenarios for the USA and Germany. Client 100 also maps complete business process of the model company. So the client serves as a starting point for exploring SAP S/4HANA. The system is already completely pre-configured and filled with data, that is master and the transactional data. As so, you can start immediately and use model company within the company code 1710 for the USA or Germany code, company code, that is 1010 for Germany. And client 200, all technical activities for activating SAP best practices have been executed in this client. SAP best practices have not been activated yet. Thus, you can carry out activating SAP best practices yourself using the scope that is relevant to you and possibly restrict it. You can also test the activation. Client 200 is a pre-activation client that already contains the SAP Fury Launchpad configuration and is therefore ideal for comparison if you want to activate SAP Fury Launchpad. Okay. And then client 300. This client is the default reference client for SAP best practices. Client 300 is a copy of master client in which SAP best practices is enabled for all the 14 localizations in SAP S4HANA 1610 on premise. Okay, you can review what the system looks like after you have implemented the best practices. You can use client 300 as a reference because this client is not pre-configured. However, as a result, this client does not contain demo data, placing it between client 000 and client 100 in terms of completeness. Okay. And the client 400. The client 400 is SAP Business Warehouse SAP BW client and contains pre-activated content for SAP Integrated Business Planning IBP for finance. This client is usually used only indirectly to support SAP best practices that include IBP, which is based on SAP BW. Client 500 similar to the Client 300. Client 500 is a reference system for SAP best practices. The difference with Client 300 is that all the configurations, including configurations that are not relevant to SAP best practices, are copied from the master client. You can use this client for fit gap or fit to a standard workshop, because not only can it be used for comparison with the default content in SAP best practices, but also for comparison with the complete customizing of client 000. And then integration. By default, SAP HANA fully activated appliance is not integrated with SAP Ariba, the SAP Financial Services Network, FSK, FSN, or the Vertex systems. However, you can carry out these integrations yourself. You will need the corresponding license and logon data for the external systems. For more information, we need to deep dive into that. Okay, so normal enterprise structure of the model company. So is everybody know the enterprise structure of a model company is in SAP is for an on-premise. So the placeholders XX stand for the different country codes. Example country codes include 10 for Germany DE, 11 for Great Britain UK, 17 for USA US, 29 Canada CA, and 30 Australia AU. The plant XX10, which is a marked with add asterisks and can be copied, for example, in XX220, and then be used for transfer. Okay. So if you use a model company, we will need to start your implementation of SAP S/4HANA directly. You don't need to start with a fully enabled solution, but you can activate the business process that you actually need to use in the batches. Business process from various areas can be activated and executed together. So this fulfills a flexible process activation. And then fit gap analysis, right? We can then run fit to gap or fit to under standard analysis in the context of SAP S/4HANA workshop. In this way, all parties involved in the SAP S/4HANA project will receive an overview of the implementation project and develop a migration strategy at an early stage. The idea is to adjust the default model company only if you can achieve a unique selling proposition for your enterprise by doing so. In all other cases, you should adhere or revert to the default settings instead of replicating your legacy systems. Generally, may have decided to deactivate from the default settings in your legacy systems when the necessary functions were not available in the SAP system. The goal of Fit to Gap workshop is to understand the functions of SAP S/4HANA system, validate the solution, and tailor it to your requirements using SAP best practices within SAP S/4HANA systems. So possible gaps should be determined and bridged. Okay, a completely different approach than the traditional implementation blueprint. So the reference systems for preparing the migration, right? Actually, the reference system with the model company described in this video can be useful throughout the your practice. So then we are going to discuss about the migrating to SAP S/4HANA in public cloud. There is SaaS model. So then actually in the next part of the video we can address the migration to SAP S/4HANA on-premise or migrating to SAP S/4HANA in a private cloud hosting. So I think the migration road diverges or everything will be well understood. So if you are not sure yet which deployment model, cloud or on-premise, suits your requirement, so you need to discuss on the steps, complete steps for migrating SAP S/4HANA, the cloud or private cloud or public cloud or on-premise. So whatever scenario you require, you can discuss on that. So I hope this part of video is well explained. So first actually we talked about SAP S/4HANA migration to public cloud using on-premise or private cloud or whatever the system is looking for. So with this step, I'm completing this video on the SAP Discover phase configuring the SAP S/4HANA cloud trial system. So we have once you log into that, you can see the welcome page. So you need to give your login details and log into the system. So then actually you can do your configuration of trial system in the discover phase. Thanks for watching my video. If you have any further queries, we will definitely look for the successive queries. Thanks. This is Shiva here, and I'm going to take further on the migration of SAP S/4HANA to the public cloud part now onwards. Okay. Thanks for watching. So actually, next we are going to talk about the cloud solution offers new opportunities for organizing and financing the IT in your enterprise. And this video introduces SAP S/4HANA Cloud and describes the various SAP S/4HANA Cloud migration scenarios. So how now actually we have in mind how to access an SAP S/4HANA Cloud instance, what to do, consider when setting up the solution. How do I transfer the existing data to the public cloud or an SaaS, that is software as a service system? The first section of this video, I mean, we already discussed about the trial system in the discover phase, and these are the similar. So, I mean, we have the similar questions. The second section provides a brief overview of how to configure SAP S/4HANA cloud system. Third section describes migrating to SAP S/4HANA cloud system, while this video focus on migrating to SAP public cloud. So we then later discuss about migration to private cloud solutions. Okay. So SAP Hybris Marketing Cloud as a satellite system used to replicate the data from the external sources. SAP Hybris Marketing Cloud is not discussed in this video. For more information on integration with SAP Hybris Marketing Cloud, so we can discuss in the later videos of the, I mean later part of my videos. Okay. And setting up say so setting up SAP S/4HANA Cloud. Okay. If you select the cloud operating model, you can expect to use the software in production rather quickly. To implement your cloud operating model, you should take a closer look at the characteristics of SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So we then introduce the basic characteristics of SAP SaaS solutions, the difference from the on-premise and operating models, and various SAP S/4HANA public cloud options. Okay, public cloud editions. So with that, actually, we can navigate to um, SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So we will have to access a system via the central URI, which we will usually receive via email with the further access informations. With this URL, users can log on to the system and thus applications via a web browser. So for any new implementation, so migrating to SAP S/4HANA Cloud involves a new implementation of the system. For technical reasons, you cannot convert an existing on-premise system to a SaaS solution. The compatibility functions offered in the on-premise editions mainly serves a system conversion purpose. Consequently, when migrating to the SaaS solution, we have to follow the data transfer scenarios we are going to discover in this video. So discover phase, I already told that the configuring SAP S/4HANA cloud trial system. So it is a trial level. So SAP provides various levels of for SAP S/4HANA cloud. So the easiest level is to reach is a trial level, which we introduced in this video in the earlier part. And we have the welcome screen once you log into the URL for the corresponding trial system. When you click on the start your free trial now button, you will be prompted to enter some details. Afterwards, you will be provided with a system user and access details. So the trial system is a pre-configured and contains predefined business roles from which you can select. you will share the system with other customers. The trial system will give you your first impression of the navigation, the user interface, and then design of SAP S/4HANA Cloud. You cannot use a trial system to set up your own SAP S/4HANA Cloud system. A separate instance is required for your own SAP S/4HANA Cloud system. The trial system is an optional offer from SAP, and you won't have to purchase or use SAP S/4HANA Cloud when using the trial system. Okay, so this is to be taken on. I mean, very important. Okay, and then actually we are migrating to the explore phase. So in explore phase, configuring the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Starter System. So you will purchase SAP S/4HANA Cloud from SAP Sales Representative. If you enter your data for the trial access, a sales representative should contact you at some point of time. You can also contact the sales team directly using the contact buttons on the website or in the system. So we have now the activate phases, that is discover, prepare, explore, realize, and deploy. So once you agree to the contract, we can start migrating to SAP S/4HANA Cloud. Your migration project will be divided into four phases of the SAP Activate implementation methodology. So which was already discussed in the SAP Activate video. I already covered it. In the first phase, you will explore the trial system and then illustrate the project phases for your journey to SAP S/4HANA. So we are segregating between the customer point and SAP point for the project phases for your journey of SAP Cloud. In customer phase, I mean customer orientation, in discover phase we have the cloud trial system, and then as a common point between customer and SAP, purchase contract is there. So agreement has been, contract has been made, and from SAP point in the prefer phase, deploying the starter system, and in customer point of view in the explore phase, exploring the solution in the starter system, and then actually from the SAP point of view, between the explore and the realize phase, we have deploying the queue or quality or production systems, and in case of customer point of view in the realization phase, setting up the queue system, and further doing exploration, and then actually I say in a combination of realize and deploy phase in customer orientation, we have the final configuration, and then setting up I mean as a common point, actually rolling setting up the production system is a common point of contact for the customer and SAP. And finally, SAP in a SAP point of view, it is support, and from the customer point of view, in the deploy phase we are doing rollout. So this is a common sharing between SAP and the customer point of view. When you purchase SAP S/4HANA Cloud, SAP will provide a starter system, so that will have the following goals. Okay, so what are the goals? The starter system allows you to explore SAP S/4HANA Cloud in more detail than the trial system. You should not miss the opportunity to thoroughly test the business scope for your specific requirement. This phase is therefore referred to as a explore phase. The starter system also allows you to define your own environments in the starter system. You will assign roles, configurations, users, and integration with other systems. The following activities on how to configure the starter system, because at first you will only have the technical user, the general procedure involving the following steps. Okay, the configuring the configuring the starter system, right? So creating the administrator, logging off from the system and logging on again as administrator, modeling roles using templates, maintaining employees and assigning roles, logging on with creating personal users, and then setting up and using the systems. Okay, so these are the main things. And then as a second step in explore phase, we have configuring the starter system, and then in second thing, assigning users for the administrator and key users. Third one, assigning the roles for the administrators and key users. And fourth one, importing users to SAP Cloud Identity Tenant, authenticating users. And fourth one, authenticating users using user authentication architecture and maintaining it. And then master data in the SAP S/4HANA cloud system, and then cloud identity provider managing. Okay, and then we have technical and personal users. Okay, so as a first step, creating the administrator user. The first step, you should receive several emails from SAP, at least two, right? One of the mails contain the technical user, the other email contains a corresponding password. With this information, you will create an administrator and define administrator access. With this administrator, you will later make all necessary technical setting. Of course, you will first have to create user for the employees involved in the implementation project to define your business process, example, your key users, and then log on to the system with technical user by clicking on the link in the first email. Enter your username and password, then start the system of SAP Fiori Launchpad will be displayed. In our in our discussion, we are navigating to the contact and the profiles group. The header lines displays the technical group and its adjacent groups. Then first you must ensure that the employee master data is maintained for you and your project team. So if that is maintained, select the maintain employees tile in the employee master data group. Okay, so we have defined many options available in maintaining employee master data and for SAP S/4HANA Cloud Starter system, right? In the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Starter system, we have at the header, we have My Home, Quick Launch, Contacts and Profiles, Insight, and then Marketing Executive Dashboard, and then Segmentation. And below that, we have What's New tile, and below that, we have Contacts and Profiles. In that option, we have Profile Dashboard, Profiles, Contacts, Corporate Accounts, Profile Graph, and Predictive Studio, and then Predictive Studio, a new app available, and Source Builder, and Marketing Locations, Channel Interest Mix. So analytical story, everything is available in the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Start screen. Okay, that is a home screen for Cloud Start screen. And now actually in the maintaining employee master data, we home screen we have a configuration, employee HR master data and employee master data, and then statutory reporting, identity, everything. And we have in employee master data, we have maintain employees tile, Fury have everything is available. And then migration in SAP Fury Launchpad. Okay, the start screen SAP Fury Launchpad is divided into Launchpad groups. The currently selected group is underlined in the header line. You can navigate the other groups by scrolling to the desired groups or using the drop down menu like a down arrow at the top right. Okay, on the next screen you will maintain the required user master data at least for the administrators. Alternatively, you can import user data list using the import employee style in the employee HR master data group. We always recommend creating users with your personal users and then reserving the technical users for the initial access only. Okay, and then user maintenance entry screen SAP is for HANA. So that is maintain employees. We have employee ID field and then employee name and last name, and then we can maintain the required IDs, first name and second last name as per the requirement, the maintain employee screen. So alternative user maintenance. In some SAP S/4HANA Cloud versions, you might not be able to maintain the users directly. In this case, an SAP service employee will have to create the user master data, open an SAP support ticket in the SAP message component. This component is XX hyphen um, S4 C hyphen SRV with the subject user creation in the starter system. Attach a file with the required master data, master data to message. The following fields required or available are email address, for example, name at the rate the domain of the company.com, and then login name, for example, first name, then I mean first name, last name, and then country code, that is for example US, family name, for example last name, gender code, that is one for male, two for female, given name, that is for example first name, home address country code, for example US, company code, that is company ID, cost center. Okay, for more detailed information we can check the roadmap viewer at http colon for double forward slash bit.ly slash vl v1448071. Okay, this roadmap viewer will help you to understand how the ticket to be created, how the alternate user maintenance have to be maintained. So just for your information say, component to be used is xx hyphen s yeah, s4c hyphen srv. Okay, service, and then maintain subject user creation in the starter system. Okay, and then assigning roles for the administrator and the key users. So we are here. So this point, so in this step you must assign an administrator role to the administration user, key user role. Log on to the system with a newly created user, select the maintain business user tile in the identity and access management group. In the next dialog box, assign the desired roles to the selected user, which is a SAP hyphen or underscore SAP underscore BR underscore administrator. So which is administrator role in our discussion in this video example. If the administrator is also expected to maintain the master data, employee data, then assign the role SAP underscore BR underscore administrator underscore HR info. Okay, so now you can use the administrator. Okay, so log on to the system as administrator and assign the roles to the key users. Please note that starter system supports only a small number of users because the starter system is designed to explore SAP S4HANA in detail and to test alternative configurations. As a result, starter system only provides a few roles. You will usually create queue users in the systems of the next project phases. So we can discuss these phases in more detail. Ensure that you have to assign the administrator right to at least one user. Okay, if the administrator is also expected to maintain the employee data, then give the role SAP underscore BR underscore administrator underscore HR info. So that is the important thing. Okay, administrator role is SAP underscore BR underscore administrator. Okay, that is important. So we have the entry screen for the role assignment maintenance is there in available in maintain business users screen. Okay, and then authenticating. I mean, importing users to SAP Cloud Identity tenant authenticating users. Okay, so which is nothing but authenticating users. Okay, so please note that the personal users must also be authenticated to access the cloud system via an identity provided IDP. For SAP S4HANA Cloud, SAP provides its own identity provided by default, that is SAP Cloud Identity. SAP Cloud Identity automatically provides a tenant for each SAP S4HANA Cloud installation and the user identification architecture, right? Of course, you can also use another identity provider. However, we assume that you will use SAP Cloud Identity for this example. You will receive a separate access data for this SAP Cloud Identity tenant. So we will have to create each user in these two systems. In the SAP S4HANA Cloud system, you will define the user master data and various roles for business applications and authorizations. The cloud identity provider authenticates the users. You must not confuse these two systems, okay? And then the user authentication architecture, right? So how it functions? Existing identity provider IDP. So we have SAP Cloud Identity for identity provider IDP. This is an optional one. And then we have customer landscape having browser. They can browse a SAP S4HANA Cloud. I mean that is a SAP Cloud from where it is connected to SAP Cloud Identity, which is having SAP Identity Provider IDP is also cloud, and then it pulls the data that is in the from the existing identity provider identity pool. So this is what the user authentication architecture functions. To enable the authentication, authorized users must be made to known to the cloud identity provider. For data security reasons, only you are allowed to access the identity provider. Thus, you will have to import your users to the identity provider during the implementation project. You will export the employee master data from the SAP S/4HANA Cloud and import this data to the cloud identity provider. So we have an overview of the necessary steps in the two systems. So actions and systems. From action point of view, creating employee master data, that is maintain employee tile, and a system is SAP S/4HANA Cloud, and then export. Second step is exploring the data from SAP S/4HANA. So in these actions required are maintain business user tile, select the necessary users, select download, and system to be used is SAP S/4HANA Cloud. Okay. And then third point, importing the data to the cloud identity provider. In these actions required are import user profiles, upload file, send email to users. So this is to be done in cloud identity provider system. Okay. So this is discussing about maintaining the master data in the SAP S/4HANA cloud system and the cloud identity provider. So the SAP S/4HANA cloud as well as cloud identity provider should have the maintain master data option. Okay, these are very important. So technical and personal uses. Okay, from now you should always use your personal users when working personal users user when working in the system. After creating the personal users with the administrator rights and making them known in the SAP Cloud Identity, log off from the technical user, then log on to the system with the administrator user to make further settings. Alternatively, you can also use a key user to carry out the configuration. So this is available. And then user administrator options. Okay, now we are here. So user administration options. SAP S/4HANA provides various options for managing and authenticating users. Choosing your preferred options in the SAP S/4HANA implementation sub-project, because access to the system is a basic prerequisite for essential migration project steps. Let's take a overview of various options. Right, three user administration models exist for implementing SAP S/4HANA Cloud. Embedded user administration, which includes simplest option, is to use the basic user administration that is already integrated into the SAP S/4HANA Cloud. In this model, SAP Cloud Identity contains a specific IDP. These options enables you to maintain basic user master data. SAP S/4HANA does not support advanced human resources HR scenarios. Okay, and then second option, integration of human resources with SAP SuccessFactor. SAP recommends using SAP SuccessFactor for all the HR aspect and scenarios. You can integrate SAP SuccessFactor with SAP S/4HANA. If you create the employee master data in the SAP SuccessFactor, this data will be automatically replicated in the SAP S/4HANA, and users will be created based on this data. Then you will only have to assign the relevant business roles to these users in SAP S/4HANA, right? In this scenario, authentication takes place in the SAP SuccessFactors. And third option will be the alternative IDP solutions, right? Alternatively, you can integrate SAP S/4HANA with any third-party IDP solutions. This option is designed for customers who already use other user administrator solutions. Instead of using the embedded IDP, SAP Cloud Identity will request that the alternative identity provider authenticates the user. So this video mainly focus solely on the first model, that is basic embedded user administration, right? So as already told, user administration is done through the embedded user administration and then integrated human resources with SAP success factor and alternative IDP solution. So in this we are going to see only the embedded administration, all right, for the user administration. So then actually configuring business process. User configuring business process in the system needs to have the role SAP underscore BR underscore BPC underscore expert EXPRT. Okay. So configuring expert business process configuration, right? In the manage your solution app, this role lets you change the system configuration using configure the solution function. This is about managing your solution as a process expert. Okay. And then we have data migration. You should test the basic data migration aspect in the starter system. As a result, you will get the insight into your data import process, data quality, and the interaction between data and configuration, right? For SAP S4HANA Cloud, data is imported via the SAP S4HANA Migration cockpit. So the steps to be in steps required to import the data via the SAP HANA SAP S4 HANA migration cockpit. Log into the system with administrator user. Select the manage your solution tile in the full implementation group. Select the migrate your data function and then perform the step described. Already described, right? So this is about the testing the data transfer. So transition to the realization phase. So transitioning to the next phase is an explicit step in the system. So if you done, then completing the explore phase. Okay, you will have to confirm that you have completed the explore phase in the app manage your solution. Only then will you be provided with the production system. You have the various options for this transaction. So select the manage your solution tile in the full implementation group. This tile is a central entry point to the basic system configuration. In the manage your solution app, select the configure your solution. The current phases of your system will be displayed in the lower right hand corner of the detail screen. You can trigger the phase shift. Okay, and then alternatively you can contact the SAP service team by opening an SAP support ticket with the subject request quality system in the SAP message component xx underscore or sorry xs underscore s4c hyphen srv. Okay, the component will be xx hyphen s4c under hyphen srv and requesting the transition to the realization phase. When the phase of the and then quality assurance and production system. Based on the starter system, SAP will now configure the quality assurance system for your production landscape and also create production instances. Both the systems are connected, which means that changes in the quality assurance system can be transferred to the production system. The migration system is also available when the test system has been successfully configured. Okay, so then system types. So what are the system types? Uh, to use SAP S4HANA in production, SAP generally recommends multi-system landscapes. Consequently, a two-system landscape is also used for SAP S4HANA Cloud. The quality assurance system or QA system in this two system landscape enable you to make changes for the system without directly affecting the operational production process. You can implement and test configuration changes, new functions, or customer specific enhancement in the QA system. Modifications are transferred to the production system using SAP transport system only if these modifications have successfully passed the testing phase. So then actually we are going to choose the system types, choosing the time for transitions. Okay. After SAP has created the quality assurance system, you will receive an email with access data for the system. Before the production system is activated, you will be asked to check the correct configurations of the quality assurance system. Only when you confirm the configuration will the productive system activated in your landscape. You have the two options for you to implement the project. Configuration in the starter system. You will implement your project in the starter system and have the configurations transferred from this system to production. In this case, you can activate the production landscape in a timely manner. Second thing, configuration in the quality assurance system. You will change rather quickly from the starter system to the realize phase. In this case, you will send the confirmation immediately to SAP. You will then implement the configuration and specific settings in the QS systems directly. So next actually we are going to discuss about the realization phase in detail. And now actually we are going to discuss about the realization phase, that is realize phase. So here configuring SAP S/4HANA Cloud Quality Assurance System. So the starter system is mainly designed to familiarize yourself with SAP S/4HANA as well as an identity and determine your individual customizations. The starter system is not released for production. Production requires the final SAP S/4HANA cloud system as provided in the realization phase. In this system, you will then define the final values and the settings and create users for all the employees. So the starter system is not ready for production. Production requires a final SAP S/4HANA cloud system as provided in the realize phase. In this system, you will then define the final values and settings and create users for all employees. The goal of this section is to prepare the system for the initial usage in such a way that data from the legacy system can be imported to the cloud system. The following activities are required to prepare the system. So importing or creating the employee master data and setting up the authentication. Second step, implementing the basic system configuration. And third one, transferring the data from the legacy system. So this completes the steps of realization phase. To complete these preparatory steps for this system, you will have to carry out further activities such as setting up print control and then selecting the relevant business process. So however, in this part of video, we are not going to discuss how to identify and define this process. We just assume that necessary business process have already been specified. Okay. And then as a next part, actually uh, importing the employee master data. Okay. So in this, log on to the quality assurance system as an administrator. Use the maintain employee tile in the employee master data group to create all employees manually or forward a file with employees master data to the SAP Service Center. This procedure corresponds to the procedure in the explore phase. So creating key users. As in the starter system, we can also only create a limited number of employees uh, in the quality assurance system. I mean, as in the starter system, we can also only create a limited number of employees in the quality assurance system. I mean, actually, those who are really I mean, working on the UAT and then actually the system integration testing and other users, production users, if they really want that, or a core user who is going to test a new scenario or something, you must ensure that the master data for the key users is maintained. Key users are users who configuring the system in the implementation project or are responsible for enhancement, test and maintenance, or what I was said in case of UAT. So assigning key user roles. So, so in contrast to the procedure, in the starter system, you should assign a key user differentiated user roles in the quality assurance system in the systematic way. That is, log on to the system with the administrator user ID, then select the maintain business user tile in the identity and access management group, and then in the second step or in the next dialog box, assign the desired role to the selected users as shown, right? I mean, we have this maintenance underscore plan underscore user as a I mean a user role as the specific business role, right? The maintenance planner, okay? For maintenance planner, for maintenance maintaining the task in addition to the generic employee role that is assigned to all employees. I mean, in the next dialog box, assign the desired role to the selected users. So, maintenance underscore plan underscore US user as a specific business role. So, maintenance planner for the maintenance task in addition to the generic employee role that is assigned to all employees. So we have the detailed screen for maintaining user roles in SAP S/4HANA Cloud is there. So John, say for example, in the business user screen, we have John, that is maintenance underscore plan underscore US. So we have this maintenance underscore plan underscore US role is assigned to him, and then personal data we have last name given maintenance underscore plan underscore US, and the first name John, and then position ID the position is looking for, and then we have email, and then in the user data we have username, user ID, valid from and valid to, and whether is active or locked, and then regional setting, so shows the decimal note, then actually the date format, time zone, time format, language, and assign business roles, whatever they are looking for. So business roles and corresponding business plan, business role ID, everything is there. Employees means we have EMP underscore, I mean. EMP underscore BR underscore employee, and the maintenance planner role is nothing but sorry, the business role for employees is the business role, assigned business roles, okay? Employee role is employee, and related corresponding business role ID is SAP underscore B underscore BR underscore employee, and maintenance planner role including business role ID as SAP underscore BR underscore maintenance underscore planner, okay? So we have the add or remove option is available for this screen, okay? And then um, importing users to SAP Cloud Identity Tenant. So we are here. So here actually, first thing actually ensure that you have assigned the administrator right to at least one personal user, okay? And then importing users to SAP Cloud Identity Tenant. Please note that in quality assurance system, personal users must also be authenticated to access the cloud system. Make your quality assurance system user know to SAP Cloud Identity by downloading the user list from the quality assurance system and importing it to cloud identity provider. So the steps correspond to the procedure in the starter systems are the same and can be described here. Okay. So the basic system configuration includes defining business roles. Key users are responsible for defining business use process. Key users are responsible for defining business process. After logging on as a key user, select the manage your solution tile in the end-to-end implementation group on the start screen. In this application, we will select which business process should be available in the system, which we discussed under the configuration business process details. Okay, and then quality assurance and production system consistency. Please note that the quality assurance system is used as a central template for generating the production system. You should therefore ensure that business process in the quality assurance system have been configured as required. The configuration in the production system should not differ from the configuration in the quality assurance system and should be in sync. Okay. For production, the quality assurance system also plays a central role in avoiding unpredicted effects to the production. For example, from the maintenance operations, right? You can also use QA system to test further adaptations of the system. Usage such as implementation of additional functions. Before transferring these adaptations to the production, you can find more information before migrating to the production. So please be in mind quality assurance and the production system consistency always to be maintained. And then we are going to discuss about the last point here. So that is uh, the data migration. Okay. So in the data migration, right, in the starter system, you only tested the basic process because the quality assurance system plays a major role for production. This system should be filled with sufficient data to test the defined business process. The quality of data migration must also be ensured because your data and its configurations are interdependent. During the implementation project, you will usually need to adjust the selection of transfer data to the defined configuration values and vice versa. So when migrating to SAP S4HANA, you should also use quality assurance systems as a test system for the data migration. So as with the starter system, data is also migrated using SAP S4HANA migration cockpit. So we can discuss everything in detail. Okay. So let's move on to the deploy phase, which is very important. Yeah. So now we are going to discuss about the deploy phase, that is configuring the SAP S/4HANA Cloud in production system. Ensure that the quality assurance system have been fully implemented, and that all acceptance tests have been passed successfully. Otherwise, you should not enter the final phase. With this last step, you will change over completely to the production. Okay. So requesting the production system, you request the production system in the same way as you requested the quality assurance system, because to SAP, because you will want to transfer your quality assurance system setting to the production. Open an SAP support ticket in the SAP message component XX-S4C underscore SRV with the subject configuration transport to production system, that is P system. SAP will then prepare the production system. The configuration and key user configurations from the quality assurance systems is used. I mean, the SAP will then prepare the once the SAP prepare the production system, the configuration and key user configuration from the quality assurance system is used. Quality assurance systems log. When planning the project, taking into account that the quality assurance system is locked when the production system is generated to avoid unintentional changes. Okay, so the quality assurance system is locked when production system is generated to avoid the unintentional changes. So perform the basic implementation steps for the last time in the production system. So the creating all the production users, right? So importing master employee master data. So log on to the production system as administrator and create users for your employees using maintain employee style by importing the employee master data again. So this was already discussed for the starter system, and then actually the quality assurance system, everything. Same way we need to do that in the production system. Ensure that you have created all the employees in the production system. You should follow two levels approach when assigning the roles and authentication in the production system. First, you will provide a key user with access to the system. Those key users can verify that all settings in the systems are correct for the last time. Then you will provide all users with the access to the system. Assigning the roles for the key users. In the Maintain Business User dialog box, assign the desired role to users. Ensure that you have assigned a differentiated role to the users. Also, ensure that you have assigned the administrator rights to at least one personal user. Importing key users to SAP Cloud Identity Tenant. Import key user data to the SAP Cloud Identity Tenant to grant access to the system. Key users can then migrate the data and test the system for the last time. Immediately contact the SAP Service Center via SAP Message Component XX-S4C-SRV if you encounter inconsistencies during importing key users to SAP Cloud Identity Tenant, right? In case of production system. Then actually comes the data migration. The data from the quality assurance system is not transferred directly to the production system on purpose to avoid having to import all data to quality assurance system. You should therefore plan to migrate the data manually. The previous step also include the data migration test in the quality assurance system. The related test results are considered and settings for the data migration, example filter criteria, custom fields, etc. Right? The quality assurance systems are copied for the data migration in the production. So we have discussed in detail. So this is about the previously tested data migration. We need to use the same thing in the production system. Assigning roles to the business users. Assigning roles to business users. Now we use the administrator user to assign the desired role to all the systems users in the maintain business user group. Again, ensure that you have to assign differentiated roles to the users and then importing users for business users to the SAP Cloud Identity tenant. If you have received positive feedback from your key users, complete the user data with all employees in the cloud identity provider. With this step, all your users will gain access to the system. Steps for implementing any cloud system. Okay, so the following steps for the technical implementation are performed in every SAP S4HANA cloud instances. Okay, this is very important. The first step is creating employee master data, then assigning roles. Third, defining authorized users in the cloud identity provider. Fourth, when defining business process, and then migrating data. And as a last final step, confirming transition to the next phase. So SAP provides a useful online checklist for these steps, which you can find in the roadmap viewer, right? For technical steps described in this video, technical architecture and infrastructure of a particular relevance can be checked at http colon double forward slash bit.ly slash V1448072. Okay, that will give you the verification of how the roadmap has been taken and how the technical architecture and infrastructure particular to relevant migration has been happened. So these are very important steps in case of SAP S/4HANA migration. So now we are going to discuss about the discuss about the configuring SAP for HANA cloud. Okay, so customizing, as we mentioned in the previous sections, you will have to configure configure your system, depending the customizing. Although this Steps describes the steps in more detail. We discussed in more detail. So, configuration is a separate sub project. In our example, we will use to configure item this customer classification configure to demonstrate the required steps for configuration. This configuration item defines classes into which you will categorize your customers, right? SAP provides class A, class B, and class C categorization. In this example, right? So we will add the class D. In this example, we will add class D to the customer classes. If you use another customer classification in your enterprise or want to change the pre-configured names, perform the following steps. Okay, navigate to the end-to-end implementation experience group. Navigate to the end-to-end implementation experience group and start the manage your solution app. Then select the configure your solution function. The system now displays an overview of individual configuration apps. So depending on the project phases, explore, prepare, realize and deploy, different configuration apps are available. The first two phases you can usually access all the configuration application. There is no restriction in case of explore and prepare. Our example, our sample configuration is in the fourth phase, that is deploy, and only the few configurations apps are displayed. So manage your solution, and the SAP S/4HANA guided configuration screens will have configure your solution option, view solution scope, and then learn more in the left hand side, and then right hand side of the pan test your process once it is configured, and migrate your data if you need migration, and manage your test process. Okay, so these are the options available. And in case of overview of configuration apps in the deploy phase, we have, so in configure your solution, in that actually in header we have explore, then I can say prepare, and then actually realize, deploy. All these things are available. So uh, we can have a sort by sequence, only mandatory settings, everything required. So we can do that. And then actually if you're doing customer classification configuration, so whether it is mandatory or optional is available, and application area, so sales or professional services, that is also described, and we have description and type, whether it is a configuration or customization, and then when it is last edited, so whether it is open or closed, and action that is start or to be processed, everything can be shown in overview of configuration app in the deploy phase. So activating help text for configuration apps. You can use the help button at the top right next uh, to the search button to activate the help text for the screen. The system will then highlight the areas for which help text are available. By clicking the help button, yeah, again you will deactivate the help text. So we have the activated help text screens are available, and then select the desired configuration app, that is customer classification configuration, and click on start. Next, in the detailed overview screen, you will add further items, customer classes in our examples. Okay, so using the link added, so we have class A, class B, class C customer is required. So these three types are provided with customer classification standardization. If you required, we can add a customized classification D customer. Okay, so this comprises of detailed screen of configuration app for the customer classification, and the additional customer classification and description required. You can create that and create the value and save the button, adding value to the configuration item. So then you have now maintained a new customer class, and the System returns to the detail screen, which displays an overview of all the customer classes. You can maintain further customer classes or use a back button that is less than arrow to return to the configuration apps overview. Then actually we have this migrating data to SAP S4HANA Cloud. So migrating to SAP S4HANA Cloud differs from the migrating to SAP S4HANA Cloud I mean migrating to SAP S4HANA Cloud differs from the migration to SAP S4HANA on-premise because the known migration tools such as legacy systems, migration workbench, LSMWs, SAP data service, that is rapid data migration, workbench, the MWB, etc. cannot be used in this case, that is on cloud migration to cloud. Either corresponding SAP Fiori apps for this migration tools, example LSMW and MWB don't does not exist, or there are no corresponding cloud enabled interfaces that can be called from the external sources to migrate the data, example SAP data services. So SAP S4HANA migration cockpit, right? When migrating data to SAP S4HANA cloud, you will have to use SAP S4HANA migration cockpit. As of SAP S4HANA 1610, the SAP S4HANA migration cockpit is also available for SAP S4HANA on-premise. So we can discuss on the available migration objects in detail in my next part of the video. Thanks for watching my video. This is GV Shivkumar signing signing off. Thanks for watching and thanks for your continuous support. Please subscribe my videos and give likes and press bell button icon to get my recent videos. Thanks friends.